Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a whole lot of jank. People are kind of surprised, me included, that you can still take Noise Marines as the option of allies out of Emperor's Children for CSM. And with that, everybody else is going to find the effective things that are most competitive and actually will win you games. I'm here to bring you something that's just funny as hell to me. Noise Marines have Terrifying Crescendo. In your shooting phase, after this unit has shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks. Until the start of your next shooting phase, each time a Battle Shock or Leadership test is taken for that enemy unit, subtract one from that test. Now, a lot of you can probably see where I'm going with this. Yes, I'm just going to go right into it. We're talking about Dread Talons. And now, while Battle Shock is a very unreliable mechanic, when you do it enough times, it's still unreliable. But it gets funnier each time. In Dread Talons, you have Terror Descends as your aura. In the Battle Shock step of your opponent's command phase, if an enemy unit that is below its starting strength is within a foot of one or more Heretic Astartes units from your army, that enemy unit must take a Battle Shock test. Each time an enemy unit within a foot of one or more Heretic Astartes units from your army takes a Battle Shock test, minus one from the result. Enemy units affected by this detachment rule don't need to take any other Battle Shock test in the same phase. So that means in the command phase, if they're below half, they don't need to take a second Battle Shock test. Now, all of this is ha ha he he funny, but at the same time, there's just a slight chance that this is actually competitively viable because we've kind of seen Battle Shock detachments do a funky thing or two lately, and there's just enough funny that denying your opponent points while you stand in places, and with the addition of Noise Marines having a decent enough gun, right? Or guns, I should say, that you actually win more games now than people expect. The enhancements, Warp Fuel Thrusters is pretty good for 20 points. Jump Pack Chaos Lord model only at the end of your opponent's turn. If the bearer's unit is not within engagement range, uppy downy. Cool. Willbreaker, 10 points. Heretic Astartes model only in the fight phase. After the bearer has made its attack, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks. That unit must take a Battle Shock test. So, if after being shot by Noise Marines and then punched by whatever model has this, if it's still not dead, they're probably not going to be able to use stratagems or, score anything. So that's a decent insurance policy. And then when it comes back around to your opponent's turn, you go, oh, they're just going to pass it. Hopefully, you've at least taken them below starting strength. So then they will be taking that test at those minuses and hopefully fail again. So, again, not scoring, not using stratagems, all of those things. And, hopefully with all of the Battle Shock shenanigans going on, Eater of Dread and decent points filler kicks in for 15 points. At the start of your command phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, roll 1d6, adding 1 to the result for each Battle Shocked enemy unit that is on the battlefield. On a 5-up, you gain 1 command point. That's decent. The stratagems, they're kind of whatever. If your opponent's Battle Shocked, you can use Deathless Cruelty for plus 1 AP, Pitiless Hunters to reroll the hit roll or the reroll the wound roll. Bloody Example gives you a way to do another Battle Shock test. Fight phase just after a Heretic Astartes unit from your army destroys a character unit. That Heretic Astartes unit, each enemy unit within a foot of and visible to your unit must take a Battle Shock test. So there's a lot of things that might do that. And then Screaming Descent. Reinforcement step of your movement phase from the second battle round onwards. A Heretic Astartes jump pack unit from your army that is in reserves can deep strike 6 inches, can't charge, but select one enemy infantry or mounted unit within 9 inches of and visible to your unit. That unit must take a Battle Shock test. So, there's a lot of ways to get some Battle Shock going and a lot of minus ones to be happening, right? Because each time an enemy unit within a foot of one or more Heretic Astartes units from your army takes a Battle Shock test, minus one from the result. Basically, you are finding ways to push your opponent to having to take the test at around 9. That's what we're looking at here. So that's a lot of opportunities for things to go wrong for them. But going past that, how can we make this even more wrong? Cultist firebrands with cursed flames. In your shooting phase after this model has shot, select one enemy infantry unit hit by one or more of those attacks. That unit must take a battle shock test. Decent inclusion for 45 points. But I would like to humbly suggest attaching this to Cursed Cultist because they have a surge move, a Cursed Horde, a Cursed Horde. Each time an enemy unit has shot, if one or more models from this unit were destroyed as a result of those attacks, you can make a horde move. To do so, roll 1d6, can move up to inches of the result, yada yada yada. Don't worry if it's aircraft. When doing so, can be moved within engagement range. And if they're within engagement range and doing all these things, you are getting bodies and battle shocking and all the mileage. They have a 6 up feel no pain and they have scout 6 inches. Nemesis Claw. Remember how Night Lords got a new model, but like didn't really get better? Well, bring them back. Nemesis Claw, with Voice Eater as your war gear ability. Enemy units, excluding monsters and vehicles, cannot be targeted with stratagems while they are within engagement range of the bearer's unit. Pretty decent enough use of 110 points, 5 models, turn off stratagems just out the gate. Okay. And also, here's the other thing, right? What would lead the Nemesis Claw? Usually it's, something like a Master of Executions, something like that, Chaos Lord. What if we actually found use for a sorcerer? With Gift of Chaos, each time this model is selected to shoot or fight after resolving its attack, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks that had the psychic ability, so Infernal Gaze. That unit must take a leadership test. If that test is failed, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, leadership test, Noise Marines do affect that as well. Do some mortal wounds, and if mortal wounds happen, they're probably below starting strength to do it all again if things go wrong on charges, right? If it goes wrong there. Also, hey, they have prescience. While this model is leading a unit, each time an attack targets that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So, -1 to hit Nemesis Claw. Uh, a decent enough ability. Get everything going. Going on, Harkin World Claimer, you gotta talk about him because we're talking about Night Lords here. We're talking mainly about this time. I said talking a lot there. Sorry about that. Herald of the Apocalypse. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this model in the Battle Shock step of your opponent's command phase, if that enemy unit is below its starting strength, it must take a Battle Shock test. Can't really do that twice over. But, we're here for the fun time, for the long time, right? So, Harkin, but just for the flavor, yada yada yada, bring them. Okay, that's fine. You also have impact mortals with the charge, but you're leading probably raptors. And what do raptors do? They have fearsome. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this unit, each time that enemy unit takes a battle shock or leadership test, subtract 1 from the result. So, raptors making -1 for leadership, Noise Marines doing it, sorcerer triggering leadership test, also the battle shock test. You're probably getting people to fail these things. Terrifying assault at the start of the fight phase. Each enemy unit within engagement range of 1 or more units with this ability must take a battle shock test. There you go. Probably again going to happen at -1 because of Noise Marines. -1 because of Dread Talons. You're getting people to fail these tests. You don't have to worry about those stratagems. So that means things like Art as Nails. Of course, Armor of Contempt. I don't know why I said Art as Nails first. I was thinking about something else. But, any of those defensive stratagems, probably not going to kick in for that because you are turning off stratagem usage with Battle Shock and the 9 points. And while we're talking about allying in, because technically you are allying in Noise Marines for this, Blue Horrors. They're good, and they have infiltrate. They can deep strike. They have OC, But even better, they have Sullen Malevolence. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this unit, if this unit contains one or more blue horror models, worsen the leadership characteristic of models in that unit by 1. 125 points, 10 models of infiltrate. And, they do the exploding horror thing, so they do that and they split. You know, you have room for infiltrate. You can scout. Well, actually, you can't scout because the cultists lose it because they will be attached to the cultist firebrand. So disregard that. But you can give yourself a little bit more space with some infiltrate. You can turn off a lot of battle shock. I think that there's a chance for legitimate play here with Dread Talons. Maybe. And, I wasn't going to bring this up. I do think it's kind of funny that the Khorne Lord of Skulls, with Plow through the enemy in the fight phase after this model has finished making his attacks, if this model destroys one or more enemy units this phase, each enemy unit within 6 inches of this model must take a battle shock test. 450 points. There's the funny that if you we're already going for funny. If you were going for efficacy here, I don't know. Maybe if you win a GT with this shit, let me know. That'd be pretty funny. But between Khorne Lord of Skulls, Noise Marines, Night Lords, fucking Nemesis Claws, and Blue Horrors, you have a very colorful army to do some Dread Talon bullshit. But it'd be pretty funny. So yeah, just a funny series of things because I haven't looked at Dread Talons in forever. I don't know who has lately. If you have, tell me how it could be even funnier or even more effective. But yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.